Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the White Belt MMA podcast, and it's an absolute pleasure to have on the show again a good friend of the show, Dwight Grant, who has a fight on April 23rd against Sergey. I'm gonna butcher his name, so I'm gonna put his name right down below. But Dwight, man, how you doing, my man? Because it's always fun anytime that you come back on.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for having me back, man. I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm training and I'm feeling great.
There you go, man. There you go. So, dude, so tell us a little bit how the fight came about, man. Because the last time you fought was a bit ago, right? It was around October.
Yeah,
And
October.
yeah, so did you want to get back in there as soon as possible, or was this one of those things that's kind of like you kind of wanted to take some time, train, and then we have a fight on April?
Well, I wanted to fight February 12th because it was like my grandfather's birthday and my son's birthday was around that time. So I was like trying to, go there with that energy and have a good time there. But it didn't kind of work out to get an opponent around that time. So I had to wait till now. But I mean, it's fine. I'll take a little break and come back. Also like my last fight, I had like a bit of injury stuff going on. So it probably was for the best anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, dude. So, dude, I've been watching, a couple of your own interviews, and you've been talking a little bit about how, you've kind of like changed your mentality as a fighter, or kind of like in a way too. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about that? You were saying that you kind of felt like you had to kind of go back to your aggressive ways of fighting back in the day. I don't know if I kind of heard you right, but if you kind of talk a little bit more about what you meant in those previous interviews.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
So it's more about the motivations before, because before my fighting style was very aggressive, and I was focused on the finish a lot, that was it. And then as time went on, I still wanted to finish, but I wanted it to be a certain way. I wanted to look a certain way. And I got some, pat myself on the back, some pretty good knockouts, that look cool. And I was like, yes, it worked out. But the problem is, being consistent with that. And I think one thing was, that fight I had in 2020 with Dan Rodriguez, like after I got out of that fight, everybody was like, oh man, loading that match, man, you got tired. And it was weird because, I worked so hard on my cardio because people before were saying that I had bad cardio, even though I was finishing on my fights, they're like, how would you know?
Yeah.
But I think that put in my mind that I had to always finish the fight within the first or second round, because third round I'll be toasted, So from training and getting good cardio and having that match where people are now saying like, hey, you gotta do better with your cardio, I think I just did an overcorrection where all my fights were meant to last 3 rounds, and I had to just outpoint the person, and like the knockout will come if it comes. But the problem with that kind of mindset is that if the person doesn't engage, or it just happens to be where we don't get at it right away, it ends up being like nothing happening, or me not feeling that sense of urgency now, because now I know I'm not gonna get tired, So it's not like oh, you have to finish it. It's like you should, and I'm trying to. But now I'm going back to just just trying to finish, understanding that I'll get tired, but then I'll recover and I'll go again. And I'm training so hard that there's no surprises. And I want to go on to some weird Zen thing, but I feel like I'm into the mindset now. When I am tired, or when I'm almost like watching it from third person. And this is happening in training. Usually only happens in fights, but now in training I'll be able to get to that point. So I feel very confident about what I'm going to be able to do in short periods of time.
Yeah. And do you kind of think that this opponent is kind of like the perfect matchup for you to kind of get back to that style too? Because Sergey is going to stand up, he'll beat you in the middle, and do you think that's the way the fight's going to go?
Yeah, it's honestly, on paper, he looks like my perfect opponent. He's like my favorite guy I got to fight. He wants to stand up. I heard him complain about not wanting to go to the ground. But the reality is, all these guys try to take me down. All of them.
Yeah.
It's like getting hit, and then they try to take me down. I remember opponents will say something like, "I'm not scared of you," and all stuff like that. And when I was younger, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. That means to be aggressive. We're gonna be fighting," But no, what that means is I haven't hit them yet. So of course they're not afraid. They have nothing to be afraid of in that moment. But when the fight happens, the corner's like, take him down, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting hit. And then they try to grab my legs. People with no grappling experience grabbing my legs.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on here? So I expect it to be a stand-up at least for 2 or 3 minutes at least. I expect. When I fought I think Alan Jaban, he tried to take me down immediately.
Yeah.
That was my wake up call. Like these guys, they're going for the takedown. So
yeah. 100%, man. And like, dude, I do have to ask you this, man, because you're one of us, man. You're one of the nerds, man. So every time I get to talk to you a little about, every time you come back here, we get to nerd out a little bit of this. But like, I do have to ask you, man, for your entrance music, do you have anything planned, like maybe some Spider-Man No Way Home, some things or anything like that, or not? You're like, we're gonna go for Reliable.
Just come down from the rafters. Yeah. Nah, I would like that kind of stuff. I mean, I used to watch like Pride FC back in the day when people come out with Wolverine with the hammer.
Yeah.
Even what's that? Anderson Silva with the Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, come out there. Like, it's great. It'll be cool, but I don't think they let us do that kind of stuff. Like, I could probably pull it off in weigh-ins, but I have to cut weight, and I'm going to be like the most miserable person. It's like, just looking for some way to make it there and then make it off the scale. So it's gonna be really hard to get me into a Spider-Man costume. Actually, it might be easy to get me into. It might be hard to get me out of it.
Yeah. I mean, do you have the first envision of food right after weigh-in? Like, what's the first plate you're gonna go right after? You're gonna go right to McDonald's? I mean, not McDonald's, but you know what I mean, though. Yeah.
But not wins. But after the win, for sure, pancakes and milkshakes and French fries. That's the thing. And I when I first got in UFC, they used to have like the green room in the back with all these cookies and ice cream. And my favorite thing about that was, besides cookies and ice cream, like everybody would be trying to be like, oh, I'm a health food person, and I don't eat this kind of stuff. So it would all just be sitting there, and I would just dive in. It's like, oh snap, as much as I want. So I'm looking forward to that. One way or another, if it's not there, I'm gonna go get it. And the hotel room is gonna be like a slip and slide full of like vanilla ice cream and chocolate chips, and yeah, that's not the
man. My bad for bringing up all that type of food, especially now that you're cutting weight. But like, it's cool. It looks like you're good spirits now. So like, if I asked you like a week or 2 weeks later, you're probably like, Gio, why the hell did you ask me about food? Get the hell out of my face.
I've been talking about memories of those Spider-Man ice cream pops. They used to have the gummy eyeballs. Like that's something that what I mean. I think about sometimes when I'm really hungry.
No, 100%, dude. And dude, now that you mentioned Spider-Man there too, dude, I don't know if you saw the Oscars. I don't know if you. I mean, we obviously where I'm gonna go with this, right? But at the same time, you do know that like Spider-Man was kind of nominated for like the best fan moment or something like that. Like they were kind of giving that. How the hell Spider-Man did not win? And you told me Justice League took it. Like I saw that, I was just like what's wrong with this?
Thank you for bringing that up. That was the most confusing thing I've ever seen. I was like, well, first of all, the fact that they showed Endgame, and that moment in itself was absolutely bananas. You're talking about a buildup of 10 years, 11 years for that moment. Now, with Spider-Man No Way Home, you got to build it up like 20 years.
Yeah.
That 20-year buildup is not as good as this guy speed skating into the clouds. Come on, man. And look, I like the Flash. I like, Justice League. I don't love him, but I like him a lot. But geez, like that moment wasn't it. And Spider-Man had a moment by himself where he was just swinging into the clouds. I would be like, no, that's not the best moment. There's other moments you could use. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot around that moment with the Flash. There's a lot of like things that you can pick apart and say, oh, it was emotional because of this, the triumph. Man, Spider-Man, not even just No Way Home. Homecoming had a moment where he was trapped under the rubble. That could have easily be that. Whatever, man. It's crazy.
I saw, and the thing is, like, did like anybody know how like that decision got made? Because weren't some people saying that it was like being like fan voted? But I'm pretty sure if it was fan voted, it would have, like you said, it was either Endgame or Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, what the?
Somewhere, there's a cabal of like Flash fans all over the world, and when it came time to vote, they all just awakened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got guys in the 70s and 80s like, all right, I remember the Flash. I want to make sure I vote for this guy. He's little Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, it had to be that way because there's no way. Even pop culture just right now loves Spider-Man, Tom Holland. That whole moment was so nostalgic. Everything that happened in that movie, and then even if you don't like Spider-Man, you mean tell me the Flash, cool as he is, beat the entire Marvel universe in Endgame.
Makes no sense, dude. It really makes no sense. I'll admit it. Like I was probably annoyed for like a good day. I was just like, nah, man.
Yeah.
Nah.
Well, I didn't hear what the title of the thing was. So I was confused. I was trying to go back to see what it was, and I was like, I couldn't find out what they were saying. You said it's the best fan moment.
Yeah, best
and
fan moment. Yeah.
I was saying it was the most exciting moment. But either way, like, come on, man, you can't for fans. How okay? For fans, right? How can if you're a fan of Spider-Man, how would you not think that all three of them combined in a movie wouldn't be more exciting? If you're a fan of even just Captain America, even just the Avengers, even just the Hulk, how could you not think that the Avengers Endgame this just totally wipes that one moment out? If they used a moment with the Flash when he was fighting Superman, he pushed him, maybe I'd been like, okay, but the Speed Force, I'm a shit on him.
Nah, dude, I get you, man. I get you, man. That was just something else, man. But I mean, what can you do? I mean, like I said, I was mad about that, and then obviously, what everyone's been talking about the whole week about, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Which then again, let's just say, imaginary universe. If you put them in a UFC bout, who do you got? Who do you got? You think Chris Rock got that jiu-jitsu under his belt?
Well, that would have to be like an old school UFC where there's like no weight class and like everybody just going for it. Yeah. In that case, then I'm gonna have to like it. If you just do it based on the characters they play, he played Ali, so he got that. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. Chris hasn't played any superheroes or any combative characters. So I mean, maybe the jiu-jitsu, if it's just like the one boxing guy, if Chris does jiu-jitsu, then he wins because he's gonna, But then Ali did fight. I can't remember his name now. You remember he fought in Japan? I don't remember the guy's name.
Was it kind of like a boxing versus like wrestler type of thing? Like
yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of the dude though.
That guy, it's crazy. It's actually back here. I actually went to his. He has a promotion where he has MMA fights and like Fedor and other guys were there, and it was actually it's right here. It's Inoki.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When I went, I kept the the press credentials.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the moment I would never forget. I actually met Fedor that day. The most embarrassing possible way ever.
Like, what happened?
Like my friend knocked on the door and I was in the shower. So I was gonna, put on my underwear or something like that. Yeah. And I came to open the door and I was just gonna open it real quick. And when I opened it, he like pushed the door open like mad wide. And I was like, hey man, what you doing, man? My underwear. And then Fedor came out of his room and just
oh God. Oh God.
What? And we were dying laughing, dude. Like it was the most embarrassing, but also the funniest stuff ever, dude. But anyway, yeah, his name's Inoki.
I mean, if like as your friend like never like let you like live that down, like did he still bring it up to that day? Be like, hey man, do you remember when you met Fedor in the most embarrassing way?
Well, the thing about it was that we had to do press stuff, and he was fighting that weekend. So the irony of it was we had to then be on the bus, and they took us to like some kind of cafe thing where they did like an announcement, and then we had to sit there next to him in a small room, and the whole time was like, if this hadn't happened earlier, I would surely introduce myself. But I think I should just let it go, man.
But I already know that like moment that happened though, you probably had like that drop of sweat, like in the animes, they just like, oh my gosh, like what have I done?
well, my way of calming myself down was just to say, well, this guy has seen many people fight in their underwear before, you know what I mean? He's a professional fighter of legend. He's trained in the locker room. He's cool, and he sees us probably as like two knucklehead guys messing around anyway. So hopefully.
Nah, dude, that's hilarious, dude. That's hilarious. So, dude, just to keep throw you a couple more questions here and there, because like I told you off camera, man. Last time, man, we went ham for the 3 hours, but man, you're a busy dude, man. You're a busy dude, so we're gonna try to keep it a little shorter than 3 hours this time. But
all right, cool.
No, but so, dude, what else have you been watching since Spider-Man No Way Home, man? Because I mean, like in terms of the MCU, right? You got Moonlight that just came out. Then it's if it's not just the MCU, I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan as well, but you got the Obi-Wan Kenobi show coming out too. Ooh. So it's like,
Yeah.
What have you been watching, and what are you looking forward to watch in the next coming months?
Well, I watched the first episode of Moon Knight,
Mm.
and my only experience with Moon, I wish I had it here. I was in such a rush to like get everything set up. I forgot to bring. I have a card set. I'll probably post it later. The only experience I have with Moon Knight is I have a bunch of like Marvel Fleur Ultra 93 cards, and like one of them was Moon Knight. I've never found this guy in a comic book. I used to, when I was a kid, I would buy these comic books that came like 3 in a pack, and the middle one would be like a mystery, and I would just hope that I could find this guy, because it was him and another character, I think called Longshot from the X-Men universe, where like I just never seen them in comic books really, but I had the cards and had like cool looking cards. So I watched the first episode, and I was quite surprised with the whole like Jekyll and Hyde thing going on. I did not expect that. I don't know if I ever knew that, or if it's something that's for the show. So I was really intrigued. There's a lot of cool action. It could have been a great movie, but I'm upset because it should have been 2 episodes.
Yeah,
they should have dropped 2 episodes. That first episode to get oriented, and the second episode to kind of experience the character.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like that's been like the norm, right? That they release 2 episodes. This is the first time that's only been 1.
Yeah, because look at WandaVision. WandaVision, that first episode, you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And then the second episode, okay, it's a good show. I want to watch the show.
Yeah.
And I think maybe now they know that people are like gonna stick with it no matter what. Like they trust us. They'll stick around,
Yeah.
And they're right. So maybe that's what it is. But I really feel like I ended up being more confused about the character than when I went in. But I appreciated all the action,
No, 100%. And I personally think they picked a good guy to play Moonlight. You know what I mean? And then, I mean, yeah. So Moon Knight. So, do you think he'll be a big character in the next phase of the Avengers though? Because like obviously like we're building up to the next Avengers movie, right? Like that's like what all these movies and shows are doing. But like, do you think he'll be a big piece? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so, because he's a huge actor. I mean, like you're not gonna contract somebody like of that nature and then like be like, we'll put you in a little show and then you can go your way. Like I'm pretty sure he's gonna show up, and they're building a character that could be very interesting to interact with the other characters, and that's what I look for when I see like new people get pulled into the MCU. I'm like, like when Ant-Man came in, I was like, this guy. I mean, Paul Rudd, of course, but just the character he's playing is gonna be so hilarious when he gets around the other characters, And this is another one that could be very, very funny around the other characters. And I'm sure like the writers at the MCU are just like, yeah, we got this, So it's gonna be. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be around for a while. I don't know if he's gonna be like a staple character because Oscar Isaac, I'm sure is gonna have other things to do, But they've managed to keep a lot of like big name stars like pretty much in the MCU without going out too far. So maybe he will be a stable character.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And then just to kind of bring it up, to kind of keeping the same theme of the MCU, though, right? You got Doctor Strange. That's the big one in May. You know what I mean? That's the one that everyone's talking about. What do you think is going to happen in that movie? Because I know we talked about this before Spiderman No Way Home. Like, we were kind of previewing that movie. Yeah. Now I kind of want you to do the same with this one because there's rumors getting thrown all around. There's a low-key Toby rumor going around too that I'm like, I mean, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I was like, Toby Maguire, count me in, bust. Like, what do you think's going to happen? Yeah,
I think it's gonna be like almost like Secret War or not Secret War. Was it? It's gonna be where they set up the new MCU. They're gonna kind of kill off old storylines and try to make it one cohesive story, because it happens in comics. DC does it too. You know what I mean? Every major universe has to do at some point. You have too many versions of the same character. Everybody gets confused. And they have to consolidate, So I think they're gonna do some of that in Doctor Strange. I'm a little concerned, at least me personally, right? Since a little kid watching Power Rangers and like VR Troopers and Beetleborgs and stuff like that, I always hate doppelganger episodes, like always. Yeah, as soon as I see it, I'm like, oh gosh, mirror match. Here we go. So I'm concerned about there being like potentially 2 Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange's, I don't being 2 of them in that movie, because I don't want to go through the whole thing of him having to explain who's who and what's what. Yeah. So that part has me concerned. But as far as what's going to do for MCU, I think it's just gonna, open it up to new people who haven't been around for the last like 20-something years or 15 years, however long it's been around. Like 10 years, 20 years, and let them enter from a new point and be able to be fresh and don't feel like they have to do like a whole bunch of homework, No,
100%. And like you said, it's going to introduce a new part of the MCU. So like if this is just me throwing a rumor out there, right? If they introduce the X-Men into Doctor Strange, right? In terms of the new X-Men, you give me your actors and actresses that would play the main people in there, because it's like people are getting thrown left and right. Like some people are saying that Harry Potter should play Wolverine. I'm like, I don't know about that. We got Hugh Jackson, then we're going to Harry Potter. I know his name is Daniel Radcliffe, but
Daniel Radcliffe, yeah.
He'll always be Harry Potter to me.
Yeah. Well, first I want to represent the X-Men here with this Rogue and Gambit shirt. Love the X-Men. I like Chris Claremont run of the X-Men. Glorious. You know what I'm saying? So good. As far as actors to play it, I don't know, man, because like I feel like I don't know the names of like all the new actors and stuff like that. If I name people, it's gonna be like people who cannot play them. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to see Clint Eastwood play Wolverine. Because just from watching.
Honestly, that'll be pretty good, actually. Now that I think about that, like back in the day,
way back in the day, like when I used to watch westerns with my grandfather, and I look at this guy, I'm like,
this is the guy. Wolverine. Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I don't have anybody to play the characters. I just want them to stay true to the characters. I mean, Marvel will do it. I was talking to somebody the other day about this with the X-Men from the old X-Men, from like 2002 and 3 and stuff like that. Like where they took a character like Rogue and then they made her character into Kitty Pryde, and they kind of messed up Rogue's whole story because you know what I mean. And it was very confusing as an X-Men fan, but also just as a person watching the movie. It's like, well, what's happening? I don't understand what's going on because her plight doesn't really fit this character, and then you got Wolverine protecting her, but she can really protect herself. Kitty Pryde to me is a little different. Even when they used Jubilee in the TV show, it was like, well, she was learning her powers, but she didn't have the strongest powers in the world. You know what I mean? So it was very strange. I hope that they stay true to the character's real, origins, and just that alone is gonna be fine. And as long as it's nothing egregious, the cast is gonna be great.
Yeah. So I mean, looking forward to it too. And then just one last thing though, throwing out there. Like I said, I mentioned that Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer a little bit. Tell me if you got the same goosebumps that I did when you started hearing Duel of Fates in the trailer, because that trailer was just perfect, man.
I don't know if I watched the trailer now. I feel like I did. I feel like I had to, but for some reason I can't remember right now. But because I know I saw something of Ewan McGregor talking about something. But I try to stay away from too much stuff only because I spend too much time thinking about it. So like if I'll just wake up in the middle of the night and then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I wonder if, and then all of a sudden boom, Google, and then I'm up. But I'm very excited about the Obi-Wan series. Not even because it's just Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan, not all that stuff's not canon anymore, supposedly. But like in the Star Wars universe has a lot of cool stuff. But that particular version that was in the prequels, man, like I did not expect. When I went to the prequels, I was like, oh, I'm about to get the Anakin story. I'm about to, oh man, it's gonna be great. And then Obi-Wan stole the show. Like he became my favorite character. I always wanted to know what was happening with him. I felt bad for him after what happened with Qui-Gon Jinn in the first one. Like I wanted to see if Darth Maul can come back too. I wanted to see like what was gonna happen, during the whole problems with the Senate and he trying to make things right. I actually was frustrated with Anakin. I feel like I bonded more with him than anybody else, and I'm not sure if he was meant to be the sympathetic character. But I just couldn't. I couldn't. Even I forgot when it came out. Was I in high school or whenever the prequels came out? Like even at that age, I couldn't connect with Anakin because he was doing such rash things. It was like, dude, what are you doing? And then you got Padme here, and like come on, man. Anyway.
Then you got the memes that I don't like sand memes and all like that. I'm like, gosh. Oh god.
But that's the thing, like I think people gave him a lot of flack in the first movie. This is a character, but he was a kid, and it was like, well, he's a kid. Like, why are you mad at him for? Like, this is just a movie setting up the next two movies. And the next movie came, and he was, a more grown person, not even an adult, a more grown person. He had all these adult situations around him where he had to be mature, and he wasn't being mature. And I understood it, and the story went really great. But man, coming to that conclusion with him and Obi-Wan, like it was like perfect to me. It was like, yeah, this guy is wilding out. this guy is like doing the order, but at the same time, they're not being sympathetic to each other. Like there's been that rift that's been there since he was a little boy and brought to before the Jedi Alliance. So I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm really excited to see what happens, everyone.
100%, man. And like, and dude, if you haven't seen the trailer, the man, like, I know you said you think you might have, but just a refresher, man. Just hear that Duel of Fates, man. Because after I finished watching that, man, I look like a random 20-year-old just doing the lightsaber in my room, man.
I'm gonna check it out for sure.
Yeah, man, 100%. So, man, dude, you're a busy guy, man. You're preparing for your next fight, so I'm not gonna keep you around for much longer, man. So before we go, man, though, do you want to plug in your social media so everyone watching you can go and follow you?
Oh, sure. I'm on Instagram at Dwight Grant MMA, Twitter at Dwight Grant, and my JRPG blog, jrpgamers.com. That's great too. And that's it.
Yeah, 100%, man. And to everyone watching, man, remember, man, Dwight's fighting on April 23rd, so make sure to tune in and support our boy, man. So again, Dwight, thanks for the time, man. It's always fun when you come back. And to everyone watching, peace.